And now, Knock 2 Studios presents Common Censored.
What's up, everybody, and welcome back to Common Censored. Thanks for being here, all of you censored commoners. I'm Lord Sterling, and together we are working as force multipliers to accelerate and exacerbate the Great Awakening in the face of the global communist takeover. This is episode 251. Ukraine dropping bombs on Russian nuclear facilities, or at least nearby. Super sketchy after Russia dropped the FOAB, allegedly, yesterday. The father of all bombs, 44 tons of TNT in a vacuum bomb. Shit escalating over there, to say the least. Tina Peters sentenced to 9 years in prison for doing her job and preserving election materials. Gavin Newsom's deepfake law in California overturned. Crazy information about Hurricane Helene, weather weapons, FEMA having no money for the rest of the hurricane season. Super, super crazy stuff. Make sure to join us Monday through Friday as we cover all the crazy clown world clusterfuck chaos on Common Censored. Use hashtag Common Censored and hashtag InfoInfantry when you share the broadcast. Find us on X at Lord Sterling _. Thanks to all of our new followers over on Rumble. Links to all the content we discussed today will be posted in the video description immediately following the termination of the broadcast. So if you're watching this later on, need to maximize the efficiency of your focus, time, and attention, then click down in the video description to find all the topics we cover. Mama Mac will be adding timestamps throughout the episode as well. So big ups to Mama Mac for helping out with that. Give Mama Mac some love and head on over to alplama.com. They've got the new wild lettuce extract available on the website right now, a painkiller, natural tincture to help you avoid the petrochemical pharmaceutical industry that wants you sick and dependent. Head on over there, get some natural treatments, and show Mama Mac some love. We love Mama Mac, right? Mama Mac, Alplama, yo mama. Tastes bad, but so good for you. Alplama, yuck. And if you want to support the show directly, head on over to our link tree where you can find links to our merch, our books, links to Subscribestar, locals, to donate monthly, Cash App, Venmo, etc. Our affiliate link for Golden Cocoon EMF protection. Pop over there, grab a beanie, a modern day, newfangled, high-tech tinfoil hat, but we upgraded the tinfoil for silver. You know I like that. They don't call me Lord Sterling for nothing. So protect your brainium by wrapping your cranium in a tinfoil hat, a silver foil hat, silver mesh hat, if you want to be specific. The liner is 50% bamboo, 40% silver, 10% spandex for a nice, comfortable fit. Thanks again for supporting the show. Disclaimer. Views expressed on Common Censored are only opinions. Assume everything we say is false and research for yourself. We're not giving medical, legal, or financial advice. The only advice we are giving is think for yourself. Question authority. Think for yourself. Question authority. Boom! What do you say we hop into the news, ladies and gentlemen? Let's see what we got first on the list today. A quote of the day. Gators quote of the day specifically. Quote, "This constant lying is not aimed at making the people believe a lie, but at ensuring that no one believes anything anymore. A people that can no longer distinguish between truth and lies cannot distinguish between right and wrong. Such a people, deprived of the power to think and judge, is, without knowing and willing it, completely subjected to the rule of lies. With such a people, you can do whatever you want." And that was Hannah Arendt. a German historian and philosopher who was born in 1906, died in 1975, and very, very truthful quote there. Let's see what we got next in terms of news. Thanks for sharing that, Gator, and that's a problem that we're all dealing with, especially with the people on the left who are just being completely untethered from objective reality by the controlled corporate media and their domestic propaganda. So we got to break through the conditioning. Break the conditioning, like Alex Jones has famously said forever. Let's hop over to the news. We had reports yesterday that Russia had unleashed massive firepower in Ukraine. This post calling it nuclear, which is inaccurate. It was the ODAB 9000 vacuum bomb used for the first time in the Volchansk, Kharkiv region. And basically, this is 44 tons of TNT. Just a massive, massive explosion. So, pretty crazy stuff. Here's another video that seems to show the actual explosion taking place. Boom. Massive shockwave, big explosion. The ODAB 9000 vacuum bomb, also called Kuzkin's father, and the father of all bombs, FOAB, considered one of the most powerful non-nuclear munitions in the world, the equivalent of 44,000 kilograms of TNT. However, others claim that it is a thermobaric bomb, ODAB 1500, which was dropped after a failed, quote, meat assault by the Russians. So I guess there is some confusion as to what exactly type of bomb they used, but I have an article here with more information about the FOAB, if you guys want to check it out. Did Russia use the FOAB? The ODAB 9000 vacuum bomb? Russia may have used it, known as the father of all bombs. More information here if you guys want to check it out, but Ukraine has now launched their own insane attack, allegedly trying to start a nuclear apocalypse by attacking a nuclear power plant in the pre-war Russia's Kursk region, reportedly with at least 4 missiles that were shot down by air defenses just 3 miles from the power station. Here, this says, watch moment, secondary explosion rocks the impact site with a huge blast, terrifying innocent civilians nearby.
Красным пламенем. Ебать! Ебать! Да ну нахуй! Сука!
Crazy stuff. So that would be bad if they hit a nuclear power plant. Let's not do that. How about that? Let's stay away from nuclear stuff. Update, NATO-backed Ukraine forces just launched 4X missiles at Russia's Kursk nuclear power plant, playing with fire to say the least. This report, Ukraine bombed Kharkiv in the Kursk region of Russia, which is the city where the Kursk nuclear power plant is located. One of the bombs fell 5 kilometers from the power plant. Nuclear plant is currently operating normally, and background radiation levels are normal. So that's good to hear. We also have some coverage from Redacted about this topic. Let's hop over and see what's going on.
And it's a big propaganda machine right now. We are at multiple stages of a war. So just a short time ago, the Ukrainians launched using U.S. weapons.
Not
attacked
good.
A nuclear power plant inside of Russia. Not inside of Ukraine at the Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant that was held by Russia. No, this is inside of Russia. Putin has responded. We are watching that. We're also watching Americans trying to get out of Lebanon right now. Over 7.
Let's skip ahead to where they jump back into the coverage.
Well, it seems like all hell is breaking loose. The Ukrainians just launched a missile attack against the Kursk nuclear power plant. We'll get an update on that. Meanwhile, Americans scrambling right now to get out of Lebanon. According to reports, they feel abandoned by the Biden administration as the U.S. is bracing for a wider war in Israel. Meanwhile, Iran just warned the United States a short time ago to stay out of this fight. Iran also telling the United States the restraints are off. Israel, meanwhile, for its part, is readying their response to Iran. And we're hearing reports this morning that Israeli IDF soldiers are being slaughtered in southern Lebanon. In that attack, is that attack on Lebanon backfiring right now? Let's make sense of all of this with Colonel Douglas Macgregor. He's the CEO of Our Country, Our Choice. A lot happening right now. Colonel, good to see you. First, you can take any one of these topics, but I think we need to start with what's happening in Lebanon and Americans trying to get out as we speak. Thousands of Americans trapped there.
Yeah. Well, I think, first of all, making sense out of any of this is a tall order. Because the worse the situations get in these areas, the less coherence and the less rationality seems to play into all of this. The Ukrainians launched these missiles ostensibly as an act of desperation. You know, on the one hand, they don't care about Russian lives. And frankly, they don't care about the health of Europe.
Their own people, man.
You destroy
hundreds of thousands of dead Ukrainians.
Damage a nuclear power plant that has implications for a large region, a large part of the world. So it's a very dumb idea, but I think it is desperation. Now, the good news is the Russians report no radiation leaks, and others in the region who are monitoring it say they don't detect any radiation leaks. So that's good news. Second part is they say they've got it under control. They've secured it. The interesting part is that so many MLRS and ATACMS weapon systems, Army Tactical Missile System, rocket artillery, have been taken under fire and destroyed over the last several days by Iskander missiles. And those missiles are hypersonic. They carry a 1,500 to 1,800 pound warhead. They're very, very precise. That the whole region of eastern Ukraine has gone silent when it comes to these missiles. So I don't know what the missiles are, and it would be interesting to find out. I don't know if these are Shadows that were provided by the British or the French version called the Scout. Perhaps that's what hit the power plant. But it's very obvious that Ukraine is losing and losing badly. The whole front is collapsing. The Russians are advancing deliberately because, of course, they have to be alert to mines and booby traps and things that may lie in their path. Large numbers of Ukrainian soldiers are surrendering. They are, of course, being treated well as always. They're actually calling the Russians once again and saying, hey, we're finished. We have nothing left. We're ready to surrender. So that part is good news. But what's really upsetting about this act of desperation is that it's designed, I am afraid, to do to us in Ukraine what Netanyahu is doing to us in the Middle East, and that is to drag in the United States and its allies into the war. Now, nothing bad happened per se, at least as far as we know from the Russian side. But I think we're going to see more of this in the near future. We're going to see it both in Ukraine and in Russia. And what has to happen right now in Ukraine is the president needs to shut down this regime. It's dangerous. This is a careless, irresponsible action that does not represent us, is not consistent with our views as a nation and as a people. That needs to be made clear to these people in Ukraine. And I think it's time to just shut them down, say, we've had it with you. We're no longer going to support you. We're pulling out because we don't want something like this to happen in the future and succeed.
So that's on the Russian front, and that's on what's just happened, this breaking news on this attack on this nuclear facility. Now let's turn to Lebanon, Colonel, where Americans trying to get out, upwards of 7,000 Americans trapped there who are trying to get out. The United States saying, yes, get out, but very difficult trying to get flights and trying to get these Americans out as Israel is expanding its war. This is not just a skirmish. We're hearing from the Israeli side that this is war. They are fully involved in a war in southern Lebanon at this hour. Where do things stand there before we talk about Iran? And the reports that I'm seeing this morning are showing, and you're not going to see this on Fox News. You're not going to see this on the major mainstream media. IDF soldiers coming up against heavy fire and being slaughtered in southern Lebanon. What's your sense of that?
Keep in mind that we do have a Marine Expeditionary Unit in the area, a total of almost 6,000 Marines. That MEU is normally an amphibious carrier, and they should be able to help evacuate people from Lebanon. Now, I don't know if that's being discussed or they've tasked the Marines to do something else, but normally I would think in such an emergency situation, that's why we maintain Marine Expeditionary Units in order to rescue American citizens from this kind of situation. I don't know what the likelihood is of flying out because I don't know who is willing to fly in and out of Lebanon. Remember, over the last few days, the Israelis have killed 7,000 people in and around Beirut. Not all of these people were associated, obviously, with Hezbollah.
Man, so shit is just popping off everywhere. Let's take a trip back to the U.S. and check in with some of the crazy stuff going on here. How about this? Positive updates with the fluoridation, the poisoning of citizens, as a whole bunch of U.S. cities are now halting fluoridating water due to IQ concerns. We covered a court case about this recently. First, Vigilant Fox reports, a federal judge ruled that fluoride poses an, quote, unreasonable risk to children's intelligence. Now, several U.S. cities are hitting pause on water fluoridation. This is incredible, and I'll tell you why. For years, people were called conspiracy theorists for pointing out that fluoridation might have harmful effects on health, particularly children's brain development. But that's no longer the case, as U.S. District Judge Edward Chen's ruling has forced cities to rethink the practice. The court found that fluoridation at current levels could harm children's IQs, not to mention that all the crops are grown with fluoridated water, or a lot of them, and that fluoride gets in the food, and then you're eating it through the food as well. You eat a piece of bread, you eat some fluoride. You eat anything, basically, you eat fluoride. It's bioaccumulative. It decalcifies your bones. It calcifies your pineal gland. It lowers your IQ. It makes you more complacent. It's why they use it to make like fluoxetine. What's the Prozac, I think it is. Rick North of the Fluoride Action Network said, quote, fluoridation is a house of cards and it's going to fall. It's only a matter of when. Our job is to make the wind blow. And yeah, I mentioned that it's harmful and that it causes lower IQ and all this stuff, allegedly. But none of that even matters. We don't even have to talk about all that. They're putting something in the water supply and mass medicating the public without your informed consent. It's against the basic premises of this country and our philosophies. You can't just medicate everybody and force medical treatments without individual examination, without prescriptions, and they're just going ahead and doing it. So this is really good news. As North put it, quote, no one has to wait for the EPA. It's time to take matters into your own hands, encouraging local officials to halt water fluoridation. So far, 4 U.S. cities with a combined population of 550,000 people have halted the practice of water fluoridation. It's likely that many more are to come. Something like 60% of public water supplies were fluoridated up to this point. Let's check out Elijah Schaefer's video here talking about
House of Cards. Several U.S. cities were hit. A pause on water fluoridation in wake of historic federal ruling. The EPA can no longer ignore the risk of water fluoridation poses to human health. Let's talk about this. A handful of cities and counties responded quickly to a September 24th ruling by a federal judge that water fluoridation at current levels poses an unreasonable risk of reduced IQ in children. Several U.S. cities, towns, and counties announced that they will stop fluoridating their water in the aftermath of the landmark court ruling that found that water fluoridation at current levels poses an unreasonable risk at reduced IQ in children. Abilene, Texas, Yorktown and Somers, New York, and the Weber Basin Water Conservancy District in Utah are among those cities and districts that responded quickly in September 24th ruling by U.S. District Judge Edward Chen. Chen ruled that the U.S. Government Environmental Protection Agency can no longer ignore the risk fluoridation poses to human, especially children's health, and that the agency must take regulatory action.
Responding to academics over here, I think he's referring to how I mentioned that the statistics don't matter. None of that matters. They get everybody sidetracked from the basic concept that you can't medicate people without their consent. Even in a hospital, you can't force somebody to take medicine. They have the right to refuse your treatment. They get everybody distracted by, the statistics, and they get everybody, like debating about that. None of that matters. None of that even matters. They're violating the premise of informed consent on a mass scale without individual examinations. And nobody talks about that. Everybody's all sidetracked about what the potential effects are. The potential effects don't even matter.
The ruling stemmed from a lawsuit filed in 2017 by Fluoride Action Network, Moms Against Fluoridation, Food and Water Watch, and individual parents and children. It followed the publication of a key report by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services National Toxicology Program. Rick North, board member of the Fluoride Action Network, told the Defender that he expects more cities and towns to announce that they will end the practice of fluoridation. Fluoridation is a house of cards, and it's going to fall. North said that it's only a matter of when. Our job is to make the wind blow. The EPA, which can appeal the federal court's ruling, previously told the Defender that it is reviewing the decision and has no comment at this time.
Yeah, Biggs. They said it would help strengthen teeth. Actually, it causes dental fluorosis. Fluorosis from fluoride pitting of the enamel. It causes holes to form in your teeth. And even if it was good for your teeth topically, right? You don't drink suntan lotion to prevent sunburns. It might make sense to apply some kind of protective measure topically to your teeth, but it doesn't make sense to drink it in water. These people are maniacs. They know what they're doing.
The city of Abilene announced Monday that it will immediately stop fluoridating its water supply out of an abundance of caution, according to News 4 San Antonio. In a press release issued Monday, the city said this: with potential changes to the EPA regulations, such as potential adjustments to fluoride levels or the possible introduction of warning labels, the city is pausing fluoridation to ensure compliance with new health and safety guidelines that may emerge. This temporary suspension is being implemented out of an abundance of caution to safeguard the public. Fluoride free, just how I like it.
Monkey see, monkey do.
Abilene City Manager Robert Hanna told the Defender that the decision to suspend fluoridation of the city's water supply is temporary, pending a formal decision to Abilene City Council on October 3rd. Now, the manager intends to ask the city council whether or not the city should temporarily suspend fluoridation until the EPA makes new regulatory decisions as required by the court, or continue fluoridation until the EPA does the same. Now, while we believe the possibility is remote, the EPA could ban the fluoridation of drinking water. Now, that's, of course, if the EPA likes you.
Let's go.
I mean, the EPA, the FDA, the CDC, what more do you need that these government agencies hate you? It says that it seems prudent to at least ask the elected officials what they want to do. Stopping fluoridation is simply the thing to do, and it is just easy to start it up again if the council chooses to do so. Why they would want to do that, I don't know. Now, according to Hanna, if the federal court's decision is overturned, the city would start fluoridating again, as there would be no impending regulatory change forthcoming. He noted that a referendum on to fluoridate the city's drinking water was passed in 2000. We would return to this practice as originally directed by the voters.
And we're not going to have any problems with me leaving comments on screen any longer. I figured out they do have a timer built in, so comments will automatically disappear off screen after 20 seconds if I forget to remove them before that. Boom, just worked. Awesome.
Most residents of New York Town were in favor of ending the fluoridation, as two New York towns, Yorktown and Somers, also stopped fluoridating their local water supply following the federal court's decision. Now, according to Patch, Yorktown Supervisor Ed Latcherman ordered the suspension of water fluoridation in the town last Thursday, citing the federal court's ruling.
Appreciate it.
Latcherman told the Defender that the court's findings that fluoridation poses an unreasonable risk to children prompted the decision for me to pull the fluoride and review our town code. Yorktown's Deputy Supervisor Sergio Esposito told the Defender that children are our most precious commodity and need to be protected.
So where the hell were you scumbags for the past 20 plus years when we've been trying to expose this? You think it's just a coincidence that I have this bumper sticker from like 2010 saying fluoride, there's poison in the tap water? No, we knew all of this. We weren't just conspiracy theorists. We knew it all. And you guys intentionally did nothing.
As adults, we have options on how to better add fluoride to our daily lives. Now, town officials will follow new federal guidelines as it emerges and engages with public health experts to make sure that any future decisions on water treatment practices prioritize the safety and health of all residents.
And the same thing is going to happen with the jib jabs that we're not allowed to talk about on YouTube. We knew the truth. We've been telling you forever. Years from now, they'll finally admit it.
Especially those identified as potentially more vulnerable to fluoridation risks. We will follow the science and see what happens. Where did I hear that before? Follow the science, they say. Follow the science. Unless that science helps children.
Yep. So this is trending on X right now. U.S. cities halt fluoride in water due to IQ concerns. Whole bunch of posts about that. This is really good. Positive development. Hopefully we see it accelerate from here to the complete and total removal and ending of forced medication of the public en masse by the corrupt system that wants you sick and complacent in order to make you easier to kill, because they want you dead, of course, but you need to be complacent. They added fluoride to the water in the ghettos in Nazi Germany, allegedly to keep the Jews complacent as well. Let's check in with some legal cases over here in the U.S. and see what's going on here. The First Amendment stands in Patrick Bateman's way. They will try to outlaw free speech again. Democrats are the threat to democracy, as they like to call it. Court blocks California law on deceptive election deepfakes. Federal judges blocked California law that would have restricted materially deceptive deepfakes related to elections. The judge ruled that the law AB 2839 likely violates the First Amendment. Rights people have. We're banning you because you're spamming us. So pretty simple explanation there. Here you go. Boop. Banned again. Banned again. There you go. Have fun. Make as many accounts as you want. Keep coming back. We'll just keep banning you. Back to the story. The court found the law was overly broad, sweeping in even parody or satire videos that could be considered to undermine confidence in an election. The judge argued this amounted to unconstitutional suppression of political speech. Ding, ding, ding. While the state argued that the law targeted legally cognizable harms, the court said it went beyond existing exemptions like defamation. The judge stated that, quote, even deliberate lies about the government are protected under the First Amendment. Exactly. And that's important because they keep saying, oh, big tech has a responsibility to handle misinformation. Sorry, misinformation is protected speech, especially when it's an opinion that just happens to go against the mainstream narrative. We have the right to give our opinions. Ooh, tamarind, making me think of Jarritos, academics denim. Delicious. Delicious. I've never actually had a tamarind on its own, but the Jarritos is really good. Ultimately, the court concluded the law failed strict scrutiny as less restrictive measures like labeling requirements could address the state's concerns. Ding, ding, ding. So this is really good news. Elon Musk commenting about it as well. California's unconstitutional law infringing on your freedom of speech has been blocked by the court. Yay! Yep. Good news. So Salty won't have to worry about going to jail for playing that Kamala deepfake video, which was freaking hilarious. How about this one? Not so good news. Breaking. Former Mesa, Colorado clerk and Gold Star mother Tina Peters sentenced to 9 years in latest political persecution. 9 years for doing her job and preserving election records. In yet another blatant display of political persecution, former Mesa County, Colorado clerk Tina Peters, 68, a Gold Star mother, has been sentenced to 9 years in prison. After bravely raising questions about election irregularities, Peters was relentlessly pursued by local and federal authorities, culminating in charges that were politically motivated from the outset. Peters' crime? Exposing the truth about what happened in the 2020 election, just like the misinformation on social media, which really is just exposing the truth. Last month, Tina Peters was found guilty on 7 of 10 charges for preserving critical election data. Gateway pundits Brian Lupo attended the trial. Viva Fry has had some really good coverage of this as well. So if you want more information about the whole scenario and everything, check in with Viva Fry over on YouTube. Tina Peters, election clerk from Mesa County, Colorado. She made a copy of her machine's information before performing the action requested by Griswold, who demanded that all voting machines' election data should be erased, which is against the law, after the 2020 election. She brought in a third party who was given permission to go in and analyze the machines, and then she was arrested for basically nothing. Threeper, what's up, bro? Hope you had a good hump day yesterday. Peters maintains she had nothing to do with the crime. She is accused and is being targeted for documenting election fraud in her county. That's what I think is going on. Quote, we have a Secretary of State that is drunk with power. She makes emergency decrees, and when we query her, she refuses to answer in violation of state law, she told the crowd during Mike Lindell's symposium. When I started having citizens come to me and tell me that something didn't seem right in our local city election from years ago to our 2020 election, I said if there is a will to do something about it. If there is a will, we will do something about it. I am a Republican. I am a conservative, and she's not, and she weaponizes her position to attack people who disagree with her. Quote, I've been persecuted. They're trying to take over our election office. We are the last bastion of freedom in Colorado. The Mesa, this doesn't make any sense. We have listened to people. They send me things from all over, and there are some discrepancies that I cannot deny or unsee. So yeah, she's been convicted now. 10 years. 10 years. Completely insane. Not surprising, though, as we know this is exactly what goes on. Thanks, Mama Mac. Let's continue. What do we got next? This one from Christina Layla. Just in, George W. Bush appointed judge gives Biden a win before the election, rules he can move forward with student loan forgiveness plan. Back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. They shut it down. It starts again. They shut it down. This is insane, as Biden is trying to circumvent the Supreme Court telling him he can't do this. Federal judge late Wednesday gave Joe Biden a win a few weeks before the election and said he can move forward with the student loan forgiveness plan. U.S. District Judge in Georgia, Randall Hall, George W. Bush appointee, will allow restraining order against the Biden-Harris regime's student loan forgiveness scheme to expire. The U.S. Supreme Court last year crushed Joe Biden's student loan bailout program. So how is this even happening after the Supreme Court shut it down? Joe Biden unilaterally announced a massive forgiveness of student loans last August to buy the Gen Z millennial vote in 2020 elections. That's all this is bribery. It's bribery. Yeah, same guy, Mama Mac. Biden canceled over $400 billion in student loans, which turned out to be up to $10,000 in student debt for borrowers who earn $125,000 a year or less, and up to $20,000 for recipients of Pell Grants. Supreme Court ruled 6-3 against Joe Biden's student relief program, so the Department of Education rolled out a workaround plan to cancel $39 billion in student loans by counting non-payments as payments for a period of time. Ridiculous, man. Ridiculous. Seven Republican states, Alabama, Arkansas, Florida, Georgia, Missouri, North Dakota, and Ohio sued the Biden regime over its student loan bailout workaround after the Supreme Court struck down the plan. But Trump is a danger to democracy after they keep circumventing Supreme Court rulings and just completely ignoring the rule of law and ignoring subpoenas to Congress. That's right, Alicia. Taxation is theft. Don't steal. The government hates competition. Judge Hall said Georgia had, quote, no legal basis to sue the Biden regime and transferred the case to Missouri. Unbelievable. CNBC reported a federal judge will let expire a temporary restraining order against the Biden administration's sweeping new student loan forgiveness plan, which could deliver relief to tens of millions of Americans. This is bribing people for votes. Bribing people for votes. Plan could benefit as many as 3 in every 4 federal student loan holders when combined with the administration's previous efforts, according to an estimate by the Center for American Progress. There's that commie word coming back. Commie stuff. Completely ridiculous and insane. As always, if you're not sure about anything else, you can be sure that the people running the government right now are tyrants and scumbags. Let's see what we got next. Yes, we saw recently that Judge Chutkan, descended from Cuban commies, has unsealed Jack Smith's 165-page, quote, immunity motion in the January 6th case to do the maximum damage to Trump before the election. Interesting that Jack Smith is doing this, releasing an opinion publicly, not a verdict, not a ruling, his opinion to slander Trump personally before the election, but at the same time they won't release the report about the federal agents in the crowd on January 6th because they're worried about election interference. Seems like they're only worried about election interference in one direction. Let's be real. So this is frustrating. We have a recap of the entire 165-page memo by Paul Ingracia over here. Jack Smith's 165-page memo is textbook legal interference. A very brief legal recap. Trump responded, of course, saying the release of this falsehood-ridden, unconstitutional J6 brief immediately following Tim Walz's disastrous debate performance and 33 days before the most important election in the history of our country is another obvious attempt by the Harris-Biden regime to undermine and weaponize American democracy and interfere in the 2024 presidential election. Deranged Jack Smith, the handpicked prosecutor of the Biden-Harris DOJ, I like how he reversed it to Harris-Biden DOJ, and Washington, D.C.-based radical left Democrats are hell-bent on continuing to weaponize the Justice Department in an attempt to cling to power. Trump is dominating the election cycle, leading the polls, and the radical Democrats throughout the deep state are totally freaking out. This entire case is a partisan, unconstitutional witch hunt that should be dismissed entirely, just like the Florida case was dismissed. Just like all the other cases will inevitably be dismissed as well. Those felony convictions, they're going away because the jurors didn't unanimously make decisions on each of the individual accounts. So let's check out from Black conservative perspective, Greg Foreman with some stuff about this, and then it transitions into a never Trumper, an impeachment hoax witness, Gordon Sondland. Shocking NBC is he says he's now voting for Trump. Absolutely.
We know that Special Counsel Jack Smith had filed court documents calling your actions in the aftermath of the 2020 election, quote, a private criminal effort. Can you respond to that?
He's a deranged person. I call him deranged Jack Smith. He just lost the big documents case. That was the biggest of them all. They said the documents case, and they said that was the toughest of them all. Let me tell you, we just won it, and it was won strongly and completely. And it was a total victory in Florida. And he is a person who is trying, and he works for Kamala and he works for Joe. This was a weaponization of government, and that's why it was released.
So what is ahead here? So I think what you're going to see is this is going to go from the court of law to the court of public opinion. And I would expect that the former president, as his attorneys have, he will try to argue that releasing this is some form of election interference. Again, this case is not
clearly election interference. And let's address this loser who is trolling the chat. I guess conservative people in their basement like this guy enjoy censorship while simultaneously banning people from chat. Figures, small people, big snowflake. No, actually, I just don't like trolls. You have the right to go and post on these platforms as much as you want, but you don't have the right to troll in my chat. So boom, gone, bitch. Peace. And no, I'm not a conservative. I'm a libertarian / anarcho-capitalist. So nope, not even close to being a conservative.
Expected to go to trial anytime soon. If former President Trump is reelected, this case is expected to be dismissed by his attorney general. So the idea of releasing a long narrative like this from prosecutors, highly unusual. And his lawyers have argued, as they really have in all of his criminal cases, that any effort to release additional evidence is an effort to interfere with the election. Now, look, there's no precedence for this. I mean, this is just such an extraordinary circumstance. But I think that's what you're going to see next. The former president is going to argue that allowing even a redacted version of this filing to be released to the public is going to potentially hurt him in the election. And that this.
Yeah, if you're going to release this, then release the report on January 6th, federal informants and agents and the thing also. Either release it all, anything that may potentially change people's opinions about the election, or don't release any of it. You can't just release all the stuff that'll damage the right while protecting everything that would damage the left. It's not how it works. And this is what they're trying to do, of course. It's what they're trying to do, of course, but we see through it, so we're calling out the bullshit.
This is part of this larger conspiracy that he alleges by judges, by prosecutors to hurt his chances in November. So I would expect that after initially we look and find the new details, I think that this is absolutely going to be used again in the court of public opinion to once again try to frame the former president as a martyr or a victim of the justice system.
Boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. I absolutely love this segment from MSDNC, okay? Because we know that they have a full-blown hard-on for Jack Smith in his new filing with evidence against Trump in the January 6th case, the 2020 election case that currently is not slated to go to trial before the election, okay? So in a last-ditch effort to try to sway the outcome of the 2024 election, this guy is filing this new evidence so that MSDNC can prop it up and to push more Trump derangement, to talk more about the 2020 election, to relitigate the 2020 election before the 2024 election because Kamala Harris is struggling, right? They're struggling. So what do Democrats and the mainstream liberal media do? What do they default to whenever they're struggling, right? January 6th. The 2020 election, right? This is how you know they're desperate, right? This is how you know they're losing, okay? Because if they were winning, they would be talking about other things. But when they're losing, when they have nothing else, right, they default to 2020, right? And again, the irony here is that Jack Smith is desperately, and I mean desperately, trying to throw Trump in jail for his role in trying to challenge the 2020 election. But this guy is currently trying to rig the 2024 election with these bogus new filings, right? Because he can't get this trial to go to court before the election
now, again, this is a last
True.
ditch effort to sway public opinion.
Although
right?
who's
So
born in
clearly he's
Pennsylvania?
showing you through his actions that this is not about justice, right? What this really is about is rigging the outcome of the 2024 election against Trump. While
Yep, totally about rigging it against Trump while protecting anything that could harm the left, of course. And to clarify, I'm not a full anarchist. To put it in terms of a political spectrum, people like to visualize the political spectrum as left right. It's a little more complex than that. I'm going to go with cone theory, where the political spectrum is shaped like a cone, and you have a big circle on one end, and it goes down to a point on the other end. The point, which I guess would be on the right in this case, is total anarchy. And that's like a giant power vacuum where people can come in and dominate other people, and it's just complete lawless chaos. On the end of the base of the cone, the big circular flat side, is total straight up collectivism. Basically, it's total individualism and total collectivism. Individualism at its logical extreme being anarchy, and collectivism in its logical extreme being communism. But the various forms of collectivism, communism, socialism, monarchy, etc., democracy. So what we want to do is get as close as we can to anarchy, but back off just a little bit so we're as close to the tip of the cone as we can get, while maintaining just a tiny little bit of government that's enough to protect the individual rights of people. Cone theory proposed by Styx Hexenhammer, who you guys may have heard just got arrested in New Orleans for domestic battery, which is pretty crazy stuff. I think it was, I'm not sure if that's the exact charge, but pretty sketchy stuff. Maybe we'll get into that a little bit later, but I'm not super informed about all the tiny details yet. The quartering, Jeremy from the quartering went down there and gave him paid bail for him and everything. Exactly, Threeper. Exactly. You can't be fucked with unless you violate somebody else's rights. That's what I'm saying. JJR SVL, what's up? Thanks for being here, JJR.
Claiming to be a crusader of democracy. However, there are people who realize this trick from the Democrats that this is nonsense. Okay, the Democrat Party.
Sorry, guys, just glitched out. My screen totally reset. Let's continue.
Okay, the Democrat Party isn't very democratic, and what they're doing actually is a bigger threat to democracy than what they claim they're fighting against, which brings me to this panel right here featuring Ari Mebler and some Never Trumpers, at least one of whom are reformed, right? They had their Trump derangement cured by the Biden administration and the disastrous policies that plague this country. And let's just say this interview does not go the way that Ari Mebler thinks that it's going to go.
Mebler. That would be a hilarious name. Yeah, this interview is hilarious.
When he confronts some of these individuals on this new filing from Jack Smith. So without further ado, let's get into it.
But this is criminal evidence, newly unsealed, in the case against Donald Trump. You know how it works. If he loses the election, this federal trial will proceed. Your report is briefly mentioned on page 136 as an example of what they call deliberate and fraudulent efforts to lie about the election. So I will give you some time right now.
He said peacefully and patriotically. There was no criminal conspiracy on January 6th. These people are insane. They know exactly what they're doing. It was just a very short raid by the FBI, Biggs.
Having gone through your prison stint on the subpoena and looking at this filing,
smelling McGraw.
Don't you understand
Good to see you, bro.
that much of this material has been disadvantaged to Donald Trump as a defendant and could be part of what gets him potentially in trouble? We'll see what the jury says if there's a trial.
There's a couple things to say here. First of all, this is election interference, pure and simple. This drops 30 days out from Election Day.
Because of Trump's lawyers' delays.
When it never should have come before it.
Don't you think that the American people deserve to hear this, though?
Well,
They should know.
I'll go to Peter and then to Sarah. But not unlimited
first
time.
Point.
Yes,
this is simply election interference. What's interesting about this as an issue now,
Yeah, Smellin' McGroin's been busy with work lately. Hasn't been able to come and hang out as much. Hope all is going well, brother. I was, just so you know, I meant to reply to your email earlier, but I've been waiting to hopefully respond with good news, but I have no good news yet to respond, unfortunately. But I'll hit you back later on, brother.
Interference. What's interesting about this as an issue now, I did a little polling. This is interesting. Crosstabs from a Rasmussen poll show that MSNBC viewers see the two top issues as democracy threats at 46% and abortion at 28%. For Fox, it's immigration at 49%, inflation at 32%, and for the general election, this democracy threat is at 6%.
Okay.
Which is to say that I get it why you want to talk a lot about this, but the last thing I want to make a point of.
Nobody gives a damn, right? That's the whole point. Nobody gives a damn about this anymore. Nobody cares. That's the point. But MSNBC, the Democrats, they want to continue to relitigate the 2020 election because they have nothing else, okay? When the economy is a disaster, when we're about to go into World War III, when the border is wide open, and the current Democrat presidential nominee is struggling to defend the disastrous record of the Biden-Harris administration, this is what you default to. This is what you default to. Again, this is how you know that Trump is winning, right? You know that Trump is winning when Jack Smith is getting so desperate that he's trying to sway public opinion with this bullshit filing, right? Right before the election, which again, it's supposed to be against DOJ
Totally
policy,
transparent.
right? It's supposed to be against DOJ policy to be doing these types of things right before an election because they don't want to appear as partisan. But clearly they don't give a damn when it comes to Trump. And this dude drops this 30 days out before the election, again, because they know that Kamala Harris is losing. And if Trump wins, this is going to go away. But again, the reality here that MSNBC doesn't want to admit is that everybody's mind is already made up on this issue. They've been talking about this
They've been
issue.
hammering January 6th for 4 years. Let's skip ahead to the next section of this interview, which is really funny.
But again, this is the type of things that MSNBC and Democrats want to pretend never happened, but it did.
The Electoral Act of 1887, Ari, was used in 2000 in the Gore-Bush thing by the Democrats, in the next one by the Democrats. Kerry used it. Clinton used it. That's all that was going on.
Okay, that's
with Trump.
All right, and I'm going to give Sarah time. Sarah, go ahead.
Yeah, Trump didn't do anything the Democrats haven't tried to do before in the past, right? That's the reality of the situation here. And again,
right, hanging Chads, Clinton in 2016. I didn't lose. Still saying she didn't lose. There's another clip from this interview. Let's hop over to Gateway Pundit so we can get right to it. Never Trumper and impeachment hoax witness. Gordon Sondland shocks MSNBC. It's an absolute yes on voting for Trump. Brian Lupo wrote this one. During the first impeachment hoax, yada, yada, we know about that. Let's take a look at this clip.
A no for you after that. Why was it important for you to say no more Trump because of his January 6th conduct? And do you stand by that?
No, I don't stand by it. And I'll tell you why. I've now lived 4 years under the Biden-Harris policies. And I have to say that those policies are not only becoming an existential threat to our country's way of life, but to our allies as well.
So when you,
and
I'll let you finish, but this is so striking. You said it was a no for me after that, after January 6th.
I did.
And here we are right now.
I did.
And you're saying it's a yes for you.
It is a yes for me.
Yeah, what's so difficult to understand about that, bro?
It is an absolute yes for me. That is how badly the Biden-Harris team have prosecuted their job.
But the whole point you seem to be making was that January 6th and that kind of attack on democracy is bigger than any policy.
I am seeing so many attacks on democracy that eclipse January 6th.
Yeah, like 90-something executive orders on the first day of Biden's presidency targeting the oil industry and stuff. Like everything they do is against democracy and against the Constitution, against the Republic, more like. That's all they do. They hate democracy. Kamala Harris didn't get a single vote, but she's somehow the nominee for the Democrats for president. No democracy there. These people are insane. Whiskey peddler, good to see you.
So I want to ask Sarah, if
Here
you
we
want to
all
ask
are. Me what those are. I'm happy.
And then, so he doesn't even let him go over the things that he says are, evidence of the regime now going against democracy. Sin Lu Wu, I think it was, just posted this in the chat. Grocery stores in California locking up steaks now. Guy recording is shocked. Let's take a look.
They got fucking steaks locked up. You see this shit? They got steaks locked up. What the? Come on, man. Stop stealing, people.
Brutal. Speaking of food stores and everything like that, we have people showing up at Costco trying to purchase a lot of stuff. Look at how long the line is here with fears of repercussions of this port.
Seeing a line this long at Costco, it's freaking massive. Something's going on.
Something's going on. Yeah, bro. Port strike.
Look at it, and it even snakes all the way from over there, back there, around here. I mean, it's going to take me literally more than a minute to walk all the way down here. In case there's any good samples.
So just tons and tons and tons of people. Chaos at Costco as people scramble to get supplies. Hopefully this is resolved, but I got a feeling that this is part of the takedown, and Biden is going to use this Longshoremen Association as like a proxy to shut down the American economy leading into the election so that he doesn't get the blame for it directly. Developing oil prices also spike after Joe Biden blurts out discussing possible attack on Iran oil facilities. He just can't help themselves. Oil prices spiked after Joe Biden told reporters that the U.S. is discussing a possible strike on Iran's oil facilities. Joe Biden on Thursday stopped to chat with reporters on the South Lawn as he departed the White House en route to Perry, Florida, to survey Helene damage. A reporter asked Biden about Israel striking Iran's oil facilities. We saw Iran launching a ton of missiles towards Israel a couple days ago. Biden, let's just check out the clip.
Would you support Israel striking Iran's oil facilities, sir?
We're in discussion with that. I think that would be a little anyway.
We're in discussion about it, he said. It's insane. Insane. Crude prices immediately spiked after Biden's remarks, jumping in vertically like an asymptote over here. It's now $77 at the time of this article was written. Quote, within 45 minutes of Biden's remark, crude oil futures spiked to about $74 per barrel from an opening price of $70 before settling back to around $73. The New York Post reported, quote, a strike on Iran's oil could result in significant environmental impacts, including a surge in greenhouse gas emissions, creating a potentially awkward political situation for Biden, who's blamed such emissions for the recent deadly hurricane strike on the Southeast. Bullshit. Bullshit. Where's the bullshit flag when you need it, guys?
Here it is. The bullshit flag's coming out.
Could you hear that? Was that muted on your end, or is it just my end that you could not hear that?
No way.
What the hell? I think I'm glitching out still over here because I can't hear any of those clips. Did you hear that on your end, guys? Yeah, it sounded like you guys could hear it. Okay, good. Yeah, sketchy. So obviously, people were saying that there was a lot of, like the Middle East wars, Iraq and everything about oil dominance. What people don't know is that we have more oil here than the entire Saudi Arabian field. We have a giant oil field off the coast of Alaska, the Gull Island oil field, which has been protected and kept secret for decades. Pastor Lindsey Williams used to come on Alex Jones' show all the time back in 2008, 2009, 2010. He was a pastor working up there and was familiar with the details of this massive oil field, the Gull Island oil field. And so It's ridiculous. Everything that they say is a lie. It's just highly frustrating. Let's jump over to Elon Musk next, reposting Bill Malugan. New in a heavily redacted DHS Inspector General report, the IG finds that Customs and Border Patrol, ICE, and TSA did not fully assess the risks associated with releasing non-citizens without ID into the U.S. and allowing them to travel on domestic flights. Oh, you need to get a vaccination to go to work, but we'll just let people in without ID into the U.S. and let them jump on flights and do all kinds of crazy shit. Unbelievable. Elon saying, wow, this is crazy. Indeed, Daniel Jackson. Key finding. Under current processes, CPB and ICE cannot ensure they are keeping high-risk non-citizens without identification from entering the country. Additionally, TSA cannot ensure its vetting and screening procedures prevent high-risk non-citizens who may pose a threat to the flying public from boarding domestic flights. These people are insane. The IG says that according to federal law, quote, non-citizens without ID are not admissible into the country and, quote, shall be detained, unquote, but that CPB and ICE are permitted to release non-citizens into the U.S. based on various circumstances. So yeah, we'll detain them, but then we'll just let them go. Just like criminals in New York and California who get arrested and then released immediately. The report says CBP and ICE, quote, self-reported biographical information which they use to give migrants immigration forms who are then able to get on domestic flights even if they don't have ID. But you, American citizen, you need ID to get on a flight, don't you? The IG says he asked DHS for data on the number of non-citizens who did not have ID and were released into the U.S. between fiscal years 2021 and 2023, but CPB and ICE were unable to provide the data because they don't log whether a non-citizen had ID in their databases. It's a setup. The OIG adds that, quote, immigration officers we interviewed acknowledged the risks of allowing non-citizens without ID into the country, but they just do it anyway. The report finds that TSA relies on data and background checks on non-citizens from CPB and ICE to determine if someone is a threat. But if the data is incomplete, quote, TSA's methods to screen individuals who pose a threat would not necessarily prevent these individuals from boarding flights. Good to know. Additionally, there are heavily redacted portions of the report where TSA conducted assessments on the risks of using CPB One cell phone app as a screening tool, but the results are not disclosed. The IG report goes on to say they identified, quote, similar weaknesses in CPB's screening process that allowed, quote, high-risk individuals into the country, including someone who was released while being on the FBI terror watch list in 2022, and 2 Afghans paroled into the U.S. as part of Operation Allies Welcome, who may have posed a threat to national security. Well, we saw the statistics the other day, 13,000 rapists or murderers, 16,000 convicted rapists, something like that, entering the country, 400 plus thousand convicted criminals entering the country, allowed to. The report, and then the first thing they do here is break the law by entering. That's just adding to their record of criminality. Deport them all. Deport them all. The report concludes, quote, if CPB and ICE continue to allow non-citizens whose identities immigration officers cannot confirm to enter the country, they may inadvertently increase national security risks. They may? Inadvertently? Well, if they're advertently, intentionally letting these people in without confirming their identities, then it's not inadvertent. And there's no may about it. They absolutely are increasing national security risks. So this is some watered down bullshit in the report conclusion there. DHS did not concur with the IG's finding, with both ICE and CBP pushing back. DHS says they, quote, cannot detain all individuals subject to detention, including inadmissible non-citizens without ID, due to several reasons, including a lack of resources, bed space. ICE said their currently funded detention capacity of 41,500 beds doesn't allow them to detain every non-citizen who doesn't have ID and valid documents. Well, then send them back. Just send them back. Just put them on a plane, ship them out. CBP said their detention facilities are for short-term detention, and they can't legally hold non-citizens longer than the law allows, even to mitigate potential risks. So don't hold them, deport them. TSA said the report doesn't reflect their current policies. So more information about all of this over here. New statement from Fox reacting to the DHS OIG report from Rep. Mark Green, chairman of the Homeland GOP House Homeland Security Committee. Quote, it's embarrassing that the Biden-Harris administration needs an official government watchdog to tell them what anyone with the slightest bit of common sense intuitively understands. This administration should not be letting unvetted non-citizens roam free in our communities and get on planes, especially when their identities cannot even be verified. The colossal failures documented by the Office of the Inspector General are bad enough. Even worse is that they're happening on a daily basis with the blessing of the Biden-Harris White House. It's not inadvertent. It's not that they may be increasing risks to national security. It's 100%. Allegedly, of course. DHS responds in a statement, quote, the Inspector General's report contains inaccurate statements, lacks important context, and is misleading about the department's efforts to verify the identity of non-citizens seeking entry into the United States and screening non-citizen flying domestically. Yeah, sure, because your DHS never lies about anything, right? Never would lie about this. Let's move on to our next one. Wow, Elon Musk says, reposting America First Legal, Mayorkas, quote, we are meeting the immediate needs with the money that we have, $750 for survivors of Hurricane Helene. Quote, we are expecting another hurricane hitting. Fucking hell. In other words, we're activating HARP to launch another hurricane. FEMA does not have the funds to make it through the season. Are you fucking kidding me? Biden-Harris FEMA spent over $1 billion funding illegal aliens, and then they don't have any money for the citizens. You got to be kidding me! Fire everybody. Fire the entire FEMA. Fire everybody at DHS. Arrest them all. This is a dereliction of duty. This is treason. Funding an invasion of illegals coming into this country and saving no money to protect American citizens. Insane. 1. Misplaced priorities. Over the last 4 years, the Biden-Harris admin has steadily transformed FEMA, the agency responsible for responding to natural disasters like Hurricane Helene, into an illegal alien resettlement agency that emphasizes DEI over public safety. The program may also receive funding to award to the National Board for Distribution to local social service organizations that provide humanitarian relief to families and individuals encountered by the Department of Homeland Security. Oh, illegals, in other words? 2. The Shelter and Services Program is designed to exclusively provide shelter and services to illegals. Over $1 billion in taxpayer and our money has been allocated between fiscal year 2023 and fiscal year 2024 to give to illegals. Illegals, look at all this money, man. These people are unrepentant criminals, 100% pure evil, obviously. 3, for example, of that $1 billion, FEMA gave over $38 million to New York City, a sanctuary city overrun by illegal aliens. Stop giving money to these cities. If they want to be a sanctuary city, let them suffer the consequences. It's not our responsibility in the rest of the 50 states to subsidize their idiocy. New York City, in turn, is handing out gift cards and hotels to illegal aliens. We've seen the clips of receipts showing that they have $13,000 in EBT money and like tens of thousands of dollars in their savings and their debit cards. 4. Moreover, the Emergency Food and Shelter Program has been reshaped to provide funding to, quote, families and individuals encountered by the Department of Homeland Security, aka illegal aliens. This is a separate program, $685 million allocated to fund illegal aliens. So you guys get the gist. There's a thread with all kinds of more information, but we'll skip ahead to Natalie Winters talking about another way that they've spent our money. Natalie over here at Natalie G. Winters. Your government used FEMA funds to build a migrant welcome center. Now they don't have the funds to help Americans impacted by hurricanes. San Diego County supervisors okay $20 million from FEMA for migrant welcome center. More than 136,000 migrants have been released from U.S. Customs and Border Patrol custody into the county since September, according to the local official. This is just absolutely maddening. Absolutely maddening. Here we go. Next one. Take a look at this. Tallying up all the money. This is bananas. Isabella Maria De Luca posted this one at Isabella M. De Luca. So far this year, the United States has given $24.4 billion to Ukraine, $11,300,000,000 to Israel, $1,950,000,000 to Ethiopia. Ethiopia, but not North Carolina and Georgia. $1.6 billion to Jordan, $1.4 billion to Egypt, $1.1 billion to Afghanistan after they already have $80 billion of our gear. $1.1 billion to Somalia, $1 billion to Yemen, $987 million to Congo. Are you fucking kidding me? Arrest these fucking people sending this money. This is bullshit. This is our money. They're literally gutting us from within and just sending our money everywhere. It's like the Roman Empire. They became so overextended, sending their military everywhere that they couldn't protect themselves at home. This is what they're doing with our money. They're sending our money everywhere, so we can't protect ourselves here. Yeah, same here, Threeper. $896 million to Syria, 9,000 per illegal immigrant that has entered the U.S., if not more. And Americans who have lost everything to Hurricane Helene will be getting $750, courtesy of FEMA. Don't forget, $16 billion to Iran, Ian Miles Chong said. This is fucking insane. This is fucking insane. And we're supposed to just put up with this? How about this? If that didn't make you mad, this one will do it. Jack Posobiec posting, Pete Booty Juice announces private drones are restricted from flying over hurricane areas. You don't have this fucking authority, Booty Juice, you fuck. This prevents civilian volunteers from locating victims in need or showing footage of the disaster.
Our goal is to make sure that funding is no obstacle to very quickly getting people the relief that they need and deserve. There's also some safety issues that come up. For example, temporary flight restrictions to make sure that the airspace is clear for any flights or drone activity that might be involved in helping to allow those emergency responders to do their job.
Are you fucking kidding me? Are you fucking kidding me? This is corruption beyond the pale. There's other reports of this during one of the hurricanes down in Florida where the Keys were hit really hard. FEMA was preventing citizens from bringing gas, food, water, supplies in, and the people of the Keys thought they were being abandoned. But FEMA was preventing citizens with supplies from going in. Shadow of Ezra reporting FEMA has ceased all relief operations and is now seizing supplies and donations from citizens, trying to assist Hurricane Helene victims across various states, causing growing alarm and unrest. If this is happening, I'm not advocating anything, but in Minecraft, I would say, if this was happening in Minecraft, if somebody were to try to stop you from delivering supplies to innocent people, Frank Reynolds time, just start blasting. You can't, in Minecraft, of course, not giving legal advice for action in real circumstances, but people are trying to, anybody that's trying to prevent you from giving supplies to somebody needs their fucking head blown off. This is insane. Of course, only in Minecraft, not advising anybody to do anything in the real world. Let's listen to this clip.
Folks, we have breaking news coming out of some of the most affected areas in our southwest region of our country right now, namely Georgia, North Carolina. This morning on my show,
TV
we have LFA correspondent Tyler Kramer on the ground in North Carolina, and he had some great on-the-ground reporting, in the field reporting today. But basically, all of the relief efforts that have been going on have been by civilians, civilian airplanes, civilian helicopters, civilian rescue vehicles, civilian tractors and dozers, and any kind of rescue and relief has all been done by civilians. People are coming together like you've never seen before. Actually, some of the greatest reporting this morning was at the fact that, the country may not be as divided as we think. Maybe politically, yes, but we're banding together like never before. And on LFA TV today, we raised about $8,000 to help in the relief efforts, which we're actually sending down there as well. Some of us are going to be heading down there to help out. But the breaking news today, folks, is that FEMA, that now has jurisdiction in a lot of these areas, is literally confiscating donations and relief materials. So any first aid kits and food and water, because FEMA has jurisdiction.
How can citizens allow that? People going down there to provide relief, I hope they're armed, and I hope they don't allow these federal fucks to prevent them from getting people the supplies they need. Like I said, not advocating anything, but god damn, dude, you can't, yeah, that's right, Alicia, do not comply. If this was Minecraft, everybody standing in the way of getting supplies to these people should be blasted in Minecraft, of course, not giving advice in real life. This is fucking ridiculous. Mountain Mule Packers deliver relief supplies to North Carolina flood victims as Biden-Harris regime fails. Must see video. Margaret Flavin bringing the flavor over here. Concerned Americans are delivering much needed supplies to suffering flood victims by pack mule as the Biden regime continues to fail in its responsibilities. According to Dr. Clayton Forrester, the Mountain Mule Packer Ranch, based in North Carolina, a company that provides pack mules to the military, is using its mules to deliver supplies to the stranded residents in Black Mountain and Swannanoa, North Carolina. This is good because the roads are busted. Nobody can get in there with the roads down. Dr. Clayton Forrester posting this on X at Dr. Clayton FORRE1. Mountain Mule Packer Ranch is a company based in North Carolina that provides pack mules for military missions. The company has been using its mules to get donated food, lights, tarps, batteries, and other supplies to stranded residents in Black Mountain and Swannanoa, North Carolina. This is what America is all about. That's right. Working together as a community, overcoming the obstacles. When modern technology fails, you got to have fail-safes to go back in time. Before Jeeps, we had cavalry in military operations. So it's time to bust out the cavalry when the roads are gone and you can't drive in the Jeeps. Bring back the mules, bring back the horses, get the supplies there by hoof if you have to. Crazy, crazy stuff. Relief is arriving via air, foot, and hoof. Here is a video of the pack mules starting their trek to the suffering people in North Carolina. Let's hop over to X and take a look at it so we can watch it a little bit bigger. Low volume, sorry. Relief is arriving in Western North Carolina by air, foot, and hoof.
Thank you, Mike. Thank you, Bob. We'll see y'all this evening.
Patriots. Garden and Gun. This video posted by MK Kate 2.0 at 777 KATEMT over on X. Let's pop over to Facebook and take a look at some of the highly suspicious nature of this whole situation.
This flooding in North Carolina does not sit well with me. I think something's going on. So I decided to do some digging. So the first thing I find out is North Carolina has the richest deposits of lithium in the entire world. Yeah, lithium for like cars, batteries, all that. Then I find out they have the world's highest purity quartz deposits. And that quartz just so happens to be the world's supply for AI chips, microchips, and all kinds of stuff.
So lithium and quartz. Remember those two things.
We're talking a $530 billion industry. So this is where it gets interesting. So a company by the name of Piedmont Lithium is awaiting a state mining permit for a site in northern Gaston County. And Gaston County is completely flooded right now. The project was awaiting zoning approval because they were getting backlash from the residents and also city officials. And this lithium mine they want would be the third largest producer of lithium in the world. And they made a deal with Tesla already. Now remember the quartz? So in Spruce Pine, North Carolina, right next to Ashland, they are wanting to expand their mines even larger. And the residents aren't having it either. Enter the floods. People, these are mountain towns. It rarely, if not ever, floods in the mountains. I would know, I grew up in the mountains in Colorado. which means none of these people have flood insurance. I mean, the media is saying biblical devastation in North Carolina. This flooding in North Carolina does
Biblical devastation. Threeper, yeah. Note the mule skinners are not strapped. I would be. Yeah, just in case anybody tries to prevent you from getting supplies to the people that need them. Man, pisses me off. They're preventing people from donating and getting money and supplies to these people. That's justice needs to be done. Hurricane Helene steered into the coast. This is a very scary topic posted by Into Thin Air at Into Thin Air on X. Was Helene, quote, modified, unquote, to flood North Carolina to control lithium production for the U.S.? This will blow your mind. All sources attached. We're discussing theories and evidence, so community notes, you are not needed. United States patents to steer hurricanes and tornadoes in 2007, 17 years ago. You think they stopped trying? Asheville and much of western North Carolina sit on the biggest lithium deposits in the entire United States. Why is that significant? I thought you'd never ask. When we left Afghanistan, we left behind our biggest lithium score ever. Now, the largest deposit we have, while demand skyrocket, is underneath the flood-ridden area. Watch closely as people may be told they cannot rebuild, just like Maui, and a disaster zone may be declared, allowing the government to take this land and mine. Let's check out this video.
All right, my friends, no time to waste here. Did you know that the United States has multiple patents on how to steer and control hurricanes and tornadoes? Yes, this is very real and it's backed by sources, as well as our own NOAA website, which discusses weather manipulation and what steps you or I would have to take in order to do our own weather manipulation. My friends, this is no joke. Many people believe that weather manipulation was used for Hurricane Helene, then somehow coincidentally stalled over the rare lithium-producing towns of western North Carolina, which is the exact location of the largest lithium deposit we have in the United States. Now, something to keep in mind while moving forward, ever since we left Afghanistan, we have lost the ability to mine lithium there, where most of it used to come from. Now we are stuck having to fill this insane demand we have for this lithium right here in the United States. Once again, the largest deposit being right over the towns that just got completely destroyed by this hurricane. Alright, so before I tie this all up with this lithium situation, this video you're looking at right now went super viral over the last few days. We have over 3 million views on this clip here, where we are talking about these weird anomalies that were taking place right before landfall of Hurricane Helene. There's a lot of controversy about what's going on here, but these things pointed directly to where we saw landfall. Not only that, but we saw some weird scalar looking beams in there, a lot of weird stuff that we were breaking down, and it's causing a lot of talk about this situation, which is the point here. We've already established that weather manipulation exists, but I want you to take a look at this website from 2007, my friends. That's 17 years ago. And it came out from the Telegraph. It says, "Scientists a step closer to steering hurricanes." Now, in this article, they explain how they are using technology in order to control, manipulate, and steer these types of storms, including tornadoes. So when you take things like this, and you also add these patents that have been out for decades, you begin to see a picture being painted of what is really going on. Now, this isn't to say that every bit of weather is manipulated and controlled. It means that they have the capability of doing this, and it's right in your face. Now, I can't say for sure that Hurricane Helene was controlled by this type of technology, but it certainly looked like it was, and it certainly did epic, record-breaking damage that we have not seen in any of our lifetimes. So this will come down to you making your own conclusions and taking the data and making your own educated decisions on what you're seeing. We are in a place in history where it's almost impossible to be able to trust our own media or government, and I don't need to go over explanations on why that is. So now that we have all these steps in place, think about the situation as a whole. This wild hurricane comes barreling towards Florida, and we suspected that once this thing got close to land, it would rapidly intensify, and that's exactly what it did. And in my opinion, the reason that happened is because once it got close enough to our NEXRAD radar towers, it was then able to be influenced.
Right, everybody's blaming HARP. HARP's good for starting the hurricane, steering the hurricane, but it's you know, they have the NEXRAD towers on the ground, which can be used for more precision controlling.
as I've shown in many, many videos. All right, now finally, I just want to
both
conclude
together.
with this. 1 year ago, almost to the day, as you can see in this article, North Carolina lithium mine to reopen with $90 million Pentagon order to help increase U.S. production. My friends, if this is not screaming to you right now, I don't know what else can. Just take a look at how much lithium we've used year to year up to 2024, and then once again ask yourself, what are the chances that this flood takes place in the biggest spot in the United States that we can even mine this stuff? My friends, the information's there, it's been there, and if you don't go check it out now, it might not be there forever. I appreciate you all. I'm praying for every single person affected by this storm. What we are seeing out there is absolute tragedy, and it seriously makes my heart break. All right, everyone, until the next video, I will talk to you all very soon. Take care. Bye-bye.
I think tragedy typically is like, oh, bad circumstances that lead to something, you know, tragic. This is not tragedy. This is slaughter. This is intentional, in my opinion. This is homicide. This is murder. This is not tragedy. Tragedy is happenstance. This is not happenstance. How about this? Yankee stacking, I think Threeper sent this one to me earlier. Good find, Threeper. Think silver won't be used for barter and societal collapse? Think people won't learn how to value silver in terms of goods and services? Think again. And as I've stated many times, other things will likely be used before precious metals for barter and trade in a shit hits the fan scenario. So prep cash, food, water, supplies, ammo, sneakers, sunglasses, hats, things like that people will need. Silver as barter? It's happening now, Health Ranger post. Guess what forms of money are working in the storm-hit areas of North Carolina, South Carolina, Tennessee, and Florida right now? Cash and silver. Guess what's not working? Credit cards, debit cards, snap cards, cryptocurrency, the guitar hero of currency. Everybody's so obsessed with crypto. It seems really, if as long as the systems are functioning, you may be able to fuck around with crypto and make a whole bunch of money real quick. But if you're worried about a shit hitting the fan scenario, thanks, academics. Appreciate you, brother. Always good to see you. Which link do you want, Donna? Clarify, and all the links will be posted in the description after the video. But I'll post whichever one you want in the chat. Weather manipulation. Okay, I think that's this one. Here you go. But yeah, cryptocurrency is like the guitar hero of currencies, where you got your guitar hero controller with your 5 buttons, and you're playing it, and by the end of the day, you're like playing these cool songs, and it's awesome. And you're like, awesome, you're playing the guitar, but then the power goes out, the controller doesn't work, Guitar Hero doesn't work, and you don't know how to play guitar. You never actually learned how to play guitar. All you learned was 5 buttons. That's not guitar. And when the power goes out, it's useless, and you still can't play guitar. And that's the way I see cryptocurrency. Shit hits the fan, the power goes out, cryptocurrency, worthless, instantaneously, without the system to allow it to actually function. So that's why I like something tangible, something like precious metals, silver in particular. And it's not just in these hurricane-affected areas where this has been done. In Zimbabwe, in the early 2000s, when they had their massive hyperinflation, I've showed you guys before my 150 trillion Zimbabwe dollars that I have. I have a $100 trillion bill from Zimbabwe and a $50 trillion bill. They're worth like $4 total. Numismatic value, not even regular straight up currency value. Completely worthless currency. But they were breaking off little chunks of gold to trade for loaves of bread and stuff over there. This is just what happens. Yeah, good plan, Donna. $0 in crypto. I mean, if people are like super savvy, then they can go in there and make some money on crypto, but I don't think it's a good long-term situation, especially under a collapse scenario. Power goes out, poof, you're broke again. But the power goes out and you hold some silver, you still have that silver, and you can break off chunks to trade for whatever you need. Ammo, good to trade. Silver, good to trade. Protection from the sun, good to trade. Sneakers, good to trade. Things like that people might need. Water, etc. Tangible things. He continues. Cryptocurrency, anything else that requires electricity and infrastructure to function, it's not working. I was told that single dollar bills are worth far more than $1 because people need small change. Divisibility of money is what matters in these situations. That's why silver is good, because you can get a lot of it for cheaper. You can break it up into small pieces, If you need a loaf of bread and you have an ounce of gold, that's going to be a problem. But if you need an ounce of bread and you have an ounce of, if you need a loaf of bread and you have an ounce of silver, then you can break off a little chunk of that silver and it'll be worth a lot less than the gold, and you can use it to trade for what you need. Yeah, shout out to Dre if he's watching. Salute to Dre. He's been trucking up a storm. I came so close to being able to hang out with Dre a few weeks ago when he dropped off a load in Connecticut. The timing just didn't work out, unfortunately. So close. I wanted to hang out with him so bad. What's up, butthead? Spro, good to see you, man. Oh, that's why people love highly divisible forms of gold like goldbacks. Oh, we talked about goldbacks. Freaking amazing. Very small amounts of gold smashed down and flattened into irreplicable, counterfeit-proof bills, which are amazing. Goldbacks. Get them. Or silver, like junk silver coins. I showed you guys my Dan Aykroyd vodka bottle full of pre-1964 and earlier silver coins, junk silver. You can get junk silver for nice and cheap. 32, 23 silver price right now. If you want to buy like a silver eagle, like a big fancy silver eagle, you're going to pay like $40 for that. But if you buy junk silver, then you're getting smaller fractional amounts of silver. It's still got that United States stamping, so people will see it and trust it, but you're not paying a big premium. Yeah, 1/1000th of ounce per 1 unit goldback. Amazing. Goldbacks are mind-blowing. One of the coolest things ever. And if you need to reclaim the gold, you can just set the bill on fire and smelt the gold yourself. The coolest shit ever. But that's why I like fractional purchasing silver. Junk silver is the way to go. Get the most out of your money, and it's already broken up into small pieces. So in a situation like this, you have tiny amounts to trade with, and you can snap in half golden, silver quarters or whatever you need to further fractionalize them to make purchasing convenient and possible. Before long, Mike Adams continues, you'll probably also see people bartering with ammo and other survival supplies. Central bank digital currencies would be completely useless in these circumstances, and this proves my point. I've been calling cryptocurrency the guitar hero of currency since it dropped, since Bitcoin dropped back in like 2010. It's just, you can't rely on it. Can't rely on it, unfortunately. Sounds good in principle, but actually it doesn't. No, it sounds terrible. Let's hop over to here and get into the real crazy stuff related to this. Remember, we talked about lithium and quartz, and look at this. This is fucking crazy right here.
Hey, it's Glam Ham, and I have some...
Clam Ham? Oh, Glam Ham Radio. That's a... All right, sorry. Sorry, Glam Ham. I misheard you.
Hey, it's Glam Ham, and I have some mind-blowing dot connecting about Hurricane Helene. I'm going to start here. This lady sent this picture from South Africa. You all know I covered the blob anomaly and South Africa's crazy weather.
Sounds about right, Biggs.
These blue jelly balls were raining on this lady's parents. She asked me to look into this. Here's how this went. And trust me, it links back to this, and it's mind-blowing. I start to look into the jelly balls. Knowing it's not a craft project raining from the sky, I move on. I find that this is not the first time that blue jelly balls have been raining from the sky. This was 2012. We'll get back to that. I came across this. Blue jelly balls look kind of similar, and this is talking about how we could be drinking from water bottles made of these light gummy balls. Sounds charming? Let's move on. Thank goodness scientists looked into this and found out it was not marine eggs. These jelly blue balls raining from the sky were made of sodium polyacrylate. So
nobody likes blue balls, right, Mandy?
I find out that polyacrylate has an impact on temperature, and it can be used for cooling and reflecting. It is not biodegradable and doesn't decompose quickly in nature.
Cooling and reflecting. Sounds like stratospheric aerosol injections to me. Some of their weather control operation to deprive us of our right to sunlight, our most basic fundamental right on this planet that they're trying to take away by blocking out the sunlight?
Which is a little... It is not biodegradable and doesn't decompose quickly in nature, which is a little concerning if it's raining from the sky. So I go back to looking for anything that looked like a jelly blue ball that might rain from the sky, and I found this. This is droplet mixing with a piezoelectric transducer. Piezoelectric transducers are a type of electroacoustic sound transducer that converts the electrical charges produced by some forms of solid material into energy. It is energy related. Remember that. So, I ask AI, what does this have to do with my blue rainy jelly balls? Cloud seeding. While piezoelectric devices are not directly used for cloud seeding, they can contribute to the technology by helping control or monitor dispersal of the seeding materials like silver iodide, ultrasonic devices. Again, we have a sound element here. They may use piezoelectric transducers to create sound waves that can influence cloud formation and precipitation.
This is my first time seeing her academics. I like her though. This is a really important, hard-hitting story. You're not hearing this other places, so share the broadcast, get this out there, because this is crazy.
Would you look at those jelly blue balls? Things you never thought you'd say. There's a sciencey description here of how they're intertwined, but importantly, these hydrophilic polymers can absorb large amounts of water. And you're thinking probably right now, what's this got to do with Hurricane Helene? Trust me. So we're energy harvesting. Now, in my video last night, I included lithium mining. I tread carefully there because I had a video banned. Now, here's the important thing, okay? The combination of piezoelectric transducers with blue polyacrylate hydrogels creates innovative solutions for sensing and energy harvesting applications. Again, with the energy harvesting. Trust me, this gets better. Here's where a big lightning bulb went off. So this kind of magical property of converting energy from one source into something else that's usable occurs in certain materials, like quartz. Hold that thought. Again,
quartz.
We all know there's loads of lithium out there. Well, did you know there's a ton of quartz, like $530 billion worth of quartz? You may be aware that the growing use of AI is going to require a staggering amount of power. Well, it turns out that quartz, while not powering AI directly, has properties that enable the hardware that powers AI to function.
Wendy! Good to see you, Wendy. Thanks for being here. She's talking about cymatics. Dude, yeah, this is crazy stuff. And we just recently saw those patents for weather manipulation devices that use sound waves to help steer and direct hurricanes. Yesterday we saw that, I believe. So crazy, crazy stuff.
Effectively.
And not only is there the lithium mining area in North Carolina, but right nearby it is the quartz mining. In that town we talked about that's underwater right now, they have a quartz mine that's all flooded at this moment.
Okay, we're going to go back to sound now. Another message from South Africa about hearing a strange humming and sound pulsing. Well, guess what else has been heard in some of these freaky storms? What is that noise? What?
Remember that?
Well, we know it's sound. So, from the comments, I quickly gathered that this sounds like an instrument called a shofar. Here's what that sounds like. Definitely very similar. Wrapping this journey that we've just been on, thanks to the jelly blue balls, some experimental weather modification techniques involve ultrasonic devices, which may use piezoelectric transducers to create sound waves that can influence cloud formation and precipitation. Is this large presence of quartz a dot we need to connect? Is the lithium a dot we need to connect? The sound? Are the jelly blue balls involved? This concludes this deep dive for now. Anyone interested in emergency communications, see my playlist Hurricane Comms for how to get started and how to use radio in an emergency. And hey, while you're at it, get your ham radio license. I'll see you in the comments. Take care.
Duh. So insane. Jelly, blue balls. What the fuck? Lithium, quartz, everything that's going on right now in North Carolina. At this, this is all just a coincidence, though, guys, for sure. Flesner Cluck 99 just posted this in the chat. Here's a dude talking about lithium from recently. Just for reference, the asshole from Piedmont Lithium bragging from 1 year ago. Let's check it out.
So much to get up to speed on. You were talking a little bit a moment ago about the different kinds of lithium, and yours is more in quarries in North Carolina, and it sounds like Tennessee soon.
So all the lithium in the world came from North Carolina from the 1950s to the 1980s. It's something
really?
Not a lot of people know. I was a mining investment banker for a long time. I hadn't known that. So,
wow.
Yeah, 2/3, 60 or 65% of the world's lithium comes from quarries, essentially, mostly in Australia. There's a mineral called spodumene. So we're going to produce our lithium from spodumene concentrate. We'll upgrade the material that we concentrate. And we have mining projects in North Carolina, Quebec, which is producing now. It will be shipping soon, and in Ghana in Africa. And we have chemical projects in North Carolina and in Tennessee.
Does it all end up in the same product that might go into a Tesla battery, or does the fact that it comes from a quarry in your case and it might come from a salt pool or whatever we call a dried salt bed somewhere else, are those different kinds of inputs or no?
They can end up in the same place. They have different process flow sheets to get there, but there are some really wonderful assets in Chile and Argentina, big brine deposits. There are a few. There are a lot of spodumene assets in Australia and others being developed around the world, including ours, but they get to the same place. We believe spodumene is, the quarrying is easier. It actually is more environmentally friendly in a lot of ways. The impact on water supply and land in the Atacama Desert is very significant for brine deposits. So we think we're in an area where it's easier to do. It can be done more quickly. I think the car companies are going to rely increasingly on spodumene-based lithium supplies.
How do the economics work? Is the Inflation Reduction Act or all of these different incentives, are they
So you guys can watch the rest of this later. I'll add it to the show notes. But lithium's a big deal. Lithium's a big deal. And you heard, what's her name over here? Glam Ham Radio talking about how she had video banned. Well, what do you know? Into Thin Air on X at Into Thin Air also posting about this. Alert. TikTok banning and deleting accounts that post about North Carolina and lithium. Catching flack means you're over the target. This is all looking more and more coincidental as the moments pass. They're censoring vital information and deleting accounts, so the main source of info comes from the mainstream media, which is mostly lies. Immediately blocked within an hour and given a strike, so no warning or of demonetization, straight to ban. No warning or demonetization, straight to ban and strike for me. They are clearly trying to hide information about Helene and its, quote, natural flood that took place.
My friends, no time to waste here. Did you know that the United States
we watched this earlier, but they're banning stuff on TikTok. If you talk about lithium, probably if you talk about quartz as well. Here's another disturbing one. Speaking about FEMA preventing people from getting supplies to those affected by the hurricanes. This is not a new phenomenon. Ryan Tyre over here at Ryan Tyre, Tyre, posting this on X. If you are wondering why citizens are being turned away that are coming to help North Carolina and Tennessee, you'll want to hear my experience as someone who has been doing this as a private citizen for almost a decade. I was able to get into and out of Asheville. We brought food, water, fuel, and other supplies as well as helped people affected by the floods. But there are reasons why they are not allowing outside help. I cannot confirm the reasons why in North Carolina, but I can tell you the reasons in other storms I've worked. I'll explain below. I don't think this is a video, but let's just go down and check. No, he's just got pictures posted. This is crazy, crazy stuff. It's a bit of a read, so get ready for it, but it's worth it. Let me share with you the first disaster area that I finally realized that this was all about money. In the Florida Keys with Hurricane Irma, after Texas got hit with Harvey, we finished our efforts in Texas and we were the first citizen team to make it to Key Largo. The federal agencies had US 1, Route 1 shut down just south of Key Largo and wouldn't let US 1, the Boston Post Road, which runs through my town in Connecticut too, just south of Key Largo, and wouldn't let anyone in or out, even though the road was okay to pass. We explained to them that we had boats, jet skis, food, water, chainsaws, and fuel to bring these people. They didn't care and wouldn't let us in. It was night by that point, and you rarely saw the lights of vehicles in the distance on the individual keys, meaning that the emergency response teams from FEMA weren't even working. It was all quiet. We decided that we would go in anyways. That's what you got to do. That's what you got to do. Do not comply. We filled up the boats and jet skis with all that we could reasonably carry and went by water around all their BS blockades and around their law enforcement presence on the water. It was 87 miles by water to get to our first stop, Cudjoe Key and Sugarloaf Key. When we arrived there, we were greeted by a homeowner, for privacy, I won't name him, though we have video, who was elated to see us and all the supplies we brought. His house was in shambles. We started offloading supplies on the shoreline and helping to get them into what was left of his house. During that process, he explained to us that FEMA had set up a command center at a local high school on the island, but that they weren't doing anything to help the residents, not even bringing them water. Instead, he explained that they were driving around using a loudspeaker, telling people to stay in their homes. They weren't even helping the homeowners with supplies. I was skeptical at first while he was telling me all of this, but then he said something that broke my heart. He told us that the people of the Keys were all in despair because they had just seen weeks before the overwhelming support for Texas with Hurricane Harvey by the citizens of this country. He and his neighbors on all the Keys felt like Americans had forgotten about them completely, because at this point, 5 days after landfall, all they had seen was FEMA, and there was nobody, and they were of no help. The residents were cut off from the outside world. No cellular, no internet, no way to contact anyone or hear of any of the efforts to try to help them. The only communication they had was from a local radio station on Sugarloaf Key that was broadcasting on AM to the surrounding keys. The man, after hearing that there were citizens trying to bring them help but being refused entry by federal law enforcement, was visibly upset. He and his neighbors really thought the country had abandoned them. He insisted that we get into his waterlogged truck and that he would take us to that radio station so that we could go live on air to tell the citizens trapped in the Keys that we, the American people, were there to help and that the government was trying to stop our efforts. And that's exactly what we did. After that, we were determined to help as many people as we could, but we were met with red tape throughout the whole process and time we were in the Keys. We finally were able to talk to some authorities to let us down to the Faro Blanco Resort in Marathon towards the end of Boot Key. This was the same hotel where state and local authorities were staging their personnel, and they were happy to see us. I was able to coordinate several trucks full of supplies to be brought down to the EOC in Marathon. I was privy to the EOC meeting, but was informed in that meeting that all of the semi-trucks full of food, water, and hygiene supplies were to be turned around and not allowed to be offloaded for distribution by the EOC. The reason they gave us was that these donations were not from companies on their preferred vendors list, and that they would not accept them or give them to the residents of the Keys impacted by the storm. It was at that point that I realized this is all about money. These preferred vendors are getting part of the money being released by the state and federal government for each disaster. In turn, some of the, quote, vendors make it on the list because a friend gets them on the list. And in return for getting ridiculously outlandish amounts of compensation for the services they render, they give kickbacks. So accepting outside donations, even though they are on location and can help people now, they would rather let people suffer so they can get their kickbacks. This meeting solidified my resolve to help these people. Regardless of what the greedy officials wanted, we were going to feed the lower Keys that were being neglected. I diverted all semi-trucks to the Faro Blanco Resort in Marathon and filled the entire first floor with pallets upon pallets of food, water, and essential supplies, and created a food pantry for residents to come and get anything and however much they needed. From local state troopers to the homeless, all were given wheelbarrows and free rein to get anything they needed. We also delivered supplies down to Big Pine Key. We helped establish the tent city on Big Pine Key. Big companies like Tito's Vodka and Whalen just kept bringing trucks full of everything that was needed. When FEMA finally started handing out boxes of canned goods, limited to one per household, we were filling cars full of food and supplies for people and pets. Don't forget about the pets, man. There is so much more to the story in the Keys and further from there in other storms we worked. The common theme, though, is that the federal government always tries to keep citizens from helping. And the local authorities, the ones that live and work in the area, are always happy to have outside help. I call out to Elon Musk and anyone else who can monetarily help people like myself and those that work with me who have the knowledge and the will to help those devastated by these disasters. Help us sidestep the red tape and get the people the relief they need. We are willing, and we are many, and we are ready. Damn, insane. They're preventing citizens from helping these people that need supplies. Do not comply. Here's evidence. First floor of this hotel stacked up with pallets. This is a hero, man. These are heroes. Do not comply. Circumvent FEMA if they try to get in your way and stop you from delivering needed supplies for these people that are, like I said, in desperate need. People are dying, man, and FEMA and the feds are getting in the way because they want you dead. You think it's a coincidence that they flooded the lithium and quartz mining areas? They're going to prevent people from rebuilding just like Maui, mark my words, and they're going to be taking over that area for production of the resources that they want. This is criminality. Everybody involved needs to be arrested. We got to figure out exactly what happened. The next radar evidence shows directed energy technology being used to manipulate, grow, and steer this hurricane. In my opinion, there needs to be prosecutions. What do we get? So we got spikes for COOF perpetrators, wood chippers for pedos, ropes for regular old treason, volcanoes for climate hoaxers, all after due process and conviction. What do we get for weather manipulation people? Do they go to the volcanoes too, or do we like drop them from helicopters or something? Send them into tornadoes or something like that. After due process, of course. This is just absolutely maddening to me. Absolutely maddening. Judge people by their actions, not their words. If they're trying to stop supplies from getting in, these people are nothing short of what you all know to be true. I don't even need to say it, but I'll play a clip anyway.
It's pure evil!
It's pure evil. It's pure evil.
Pure evil.
Not only just pure evil, but in fact, 100%
evil.
Pure evil. Not even 4.9 fine. We're at a full 100%. Let's hop over to the Vigilant Fox next. At the Vigilant Fox, Vigilant Fox, 10 shocking stories the media buried today. Number 10, Joe Rogan's guest is horrified to find out that 80% of Americans have Roundup in their urine. Even worse, 87% of kids tested positive for glyphosate exposure. Glyphosate exposure is linked to serious health problems such as cancer, especially non-Hodgkin lymphoma, liver and kidney damage, endocrine disruption, reproductive and developmental issues, mitochondrial dysfunction, digestive issues, DNA damage, just a little bit of DNA damage. Don't worry, just stick out your arm. Same kind of thing, DNA damage. Quote, that is so crazy. That is so dangerous. Let's check out the clip.
There's some serious evidence that most people who eat the common American diet, what was it? The number of the people that had Roundup in their system. So glyphosate.
What?
Yeah, glyphosate.
And we just talked about too with oat products that use oats. Chlormequat. We covered that yesterday. Links in yesterday's description. The harmful, toxic chemical chlormequat used as a pesticide gets on the oats, then it gets in your oat products, Quaker Oats, etc. Allegedly. And just like this, 80% of people infected with chlormequat that causes infertility and delayed puberty. Well, I guess the glyphosate, which is a synthetic estrogen, causes precocious puberty. Girls to get puberty starting earlier at like 6, 7 years old. So maybe it's good that we got the chlormequat in there to balance it out, to push back the puberty, to push it off again. Of course, I'm joking.
A really powerful pesticide that they spray on all kinds of different plants. And
oh shit!
I think it's somewhere in the neighborhood of 90% of people tested had glyphosate in their system.
Roundup.
Yes,
the stuff
Roundup
you spray
in
to
their
just
blood.
kill everything.
Exactly, and
correct.
it's illegal in some countries.
There
it
you
should
go.
be illegal in America.
Volcanoes.
But the problem is, if you make it illegal, how are these monocrop agriculture companies going to function? Okay, it's 80%.
That's 87% of children.
87% of children. So this is 2022. I would imagine this goes up every year. 80% of Americans have Roundup in their urine. That is so crazy. That's so dangerous.
That's terrifying.
And it's also fairly new in terms of human history. I mean,
Right.
I think Roundup has only been around since is it the 90s? Also, 74.
And like RFK Jr. talked about in his big speech announcing that he was joining up with Donald Trump, these pesticides, these chemicals, these GMOs, the childhood schedule. Ever since we started doing this, chronic disease has skyrocketed in the United States, skyrocketed through the roof. As Dr. Shiva Ayadurai exposed in his announcement for his presidential run this round in 2024, he covered the chart showing the average life expectancies of all these various countries, and they're all increasing in tandem, rising throughout the 20th century. And then the United States life expectancy starts falling off of a cliff. Life expectancy is dropping in the United States because of this kind of crap, because of the childhood schedule, because of things like fluoride, glyphosate, chlormequat, all the GMOs, everything we're exposed to. We evolved over eons eating natural foods. Also, the seed oils, another big part of it. They say, oh, the American Heart Association, stop eating red meat, start eating all this other stuff. And then heart disease skyrockets. It's like everything that they do causes what they're trying to prevent. And they think we're too stupid to realize it. Not us.
Roundup, which contains active ingredients glyphosate, was first introduced to commercial agriculture in 1974.
Oh, what do you know?
Scroll down so we can see when it ramps up. So 74, okay, wasn't widely used until 96. That's what I read. So Monsanto began selling genetically modified seeds that were resistant to Roundup. This allowed farmers to spray their entire crop beds with Roundup without risking losing their crop. It's an herbicide, right? Yeah, okay. Not a pesticide, an herbicide. But it's fucking terrible for you. Terrible. And 80% of people have it in their blood.
Roundup, microplastics, DDT.
Yeah.
So I got a clip over here from one of my rap songs from back in the day where I talk about the cocktail of toxic chemicals that we're exposed to. Let's take a listen for a moment to this.
We need to wake the people up to the money changes. Show them how the new world order poses imminent danger. Cause Rothschilds play with countries like they're damn toys. Transhumanist futurists creating biological androids. Out of the people pumping hexafluorosilicic acid into our water supplies to
fluoride.
Make us complacent should be illegal. Cutting the plastics that your foods are wrapped in with bisphenol A. People ingesting it every day. Big pharma knowingly makes thimerosal preservatives for vaccines that are mercury based. Injecting all your newborn babies, raising autism rates, pumping through your veins. A cocktail of hundreds of chemicals, literally. Who knows what the effects will be? Soft kill, orchestration, full spectrum domination, false flag operations all throughout history, but they.
So that's where we're at right now. Soft kill. This is a soft kill orchestrated operation on a national scale, in my opinion, as they work towards murdering all of us to bring in their replacements who can be more easily controlled. Yeah, definitely time to get off of the tube, Threeper. I got it all ready to post over here. Academics, come join us on Rumble, brother, where the water is warm and we can speak freely. Sorry to have to ditch anybody over on YouTube, but we're trying to drag people over onto Alt Tech. So if you can't make it, we'll be back tomorrow for a Friday show. But come join us. Come join us over on Rumble. If you can't make it, sorry to have to ditch you. We'll be back on the flip side. Until then, let's get ready.